right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. I've got a couple of interesting stories for you guys today. The first story that I've got for you guys, the latest updates of Nathan Asha just days away from taking the stage at this weekend's Mr. Big Evolution in Portugal. And I think these are actually really impressive updates of Nathan. Kind of contrary to what we saw just a few days ahead of the Flex Pro weekend. I think the conversation around Nathan going into that Italy show, the one that he lost to Beirut, is a lot of those updates that we saw at the last minute during that peak week was that Nathan looked a little bit off. He didn't really look super conditioned. He didn't look super dry. You didn't see a whole lot of detail. And I think at the end of the day, at that show, when you did see him on stage against Beirut, he did bring decent conditioning. It's not like he was out of shape or anything, but he came in much fuller. He had a very full look, especially to his upper body, his legs. And Nathan has kind of had that track record before of not necessarily having the sharpest looking updates going into a show. But I will say, in this video, we saw a video from his story, then we saw this video from Rep 1. In this video from Rep 1, I think he does look pretty tight and dry. He definitely looks better than the updates that we saw going into Flex Pro. You can see deep striations in the chest, which I think was a big difference between him and Beirut on the Italy stage. You can see a little bit drier glutes and hamstrings than what you saw in the updates going into the Flex Pro weekend and on stage at the Flex Pro weekend. So I still would say here, a lot of this could be lighting and angles. I do think this is like some crazy goon light here that was better than the updates that we saw from him prior. And if you look at the glutes and hamstrings, while he does look drier here than he looked in the Flex Pro weekend updates, you still don't really see necessarily striated glutes. You still don't really see crazy separation in the hamstrings. You see like just a couple lines there, but even though he looks a lot drier and this lighting is really good and he seems to be in good shape, you can kind of see the Christmas tree in his lower back there. You can see the detail in those lower lats as he pulls down to hit that front, the back double bicep. If you look at the glutes and hamstrings, you still don't really see that deep, dry separation. And we talked about Bonac at that guest posing. He had striated glutes and deep separated hamstrings, even at the guest posing from this past weekend. So when we talk about Nathan versus Bonac at this show, because that is going to be the main battle that we're looking at here, you got to look at what happened on paper so far. Bonac first beat Beirut, then Beirut beat Nathan. So in that line of succession, you would think that on paper, Bonac should beat Nathan here unless Nathan comes in way sharper than he did in Italy. And then that would be kind of the wild card factor here, because I think Beirut mostly beat Nathan because of conditioning. Nathan was just slightly behind Beirut, and that made Beirut look that much better in all the poses. So the wild card factor here is if Nathan is significantly sharper than he was in Italy, then you might have a battle here. But other than that, and I'm not saying that it won't be a battle otherwise, but other than that, I think on paper, Bonac should win this show, just based on that line of succession. Bonac beating Beirut, Beirut beating Nathan, but Nathan could bring some wild card factor here because he does look to be in much better shape. And I'll show the pictures right here. These are the pictures from just days away, I think maybe even 2 or 3 days out from the Flex Pro weekend in Italy, where he didn't really look that crazy lean or dry. So make no mistake, in the videos that we saw today, he does look a lot better than these pictures. So he might look a lot better on stage. And like I said before, I kind of think the most entertaining outcome here from a fan's perspective would be if Nathan did beat Bonac here, then Beirut won a show, Bonac won a show, and Nathan won a show. All three of them won going into Dubai, which I believe they're all three doing. Then have this great rematch of all three guys that just won a show in the Dubai show. That would be the most entertaining outcome. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. It does kind of seem like the fan perspective on Bonac has soured a little bit. I've seen the comments on Instagram, on YouTube. It seems like people, well, initially you had a lot of people that think Beirut should have beat Bonac. Then you've got other people that just are not impressed by Bonac's physique. So who do you guys have winning this weekend's Mr. Big Evolution? William Bonac or Nathan Asha? Let me know in the comments down below. Now, also this weekend, a guy that we've talked about a lot going into this show, making his big return to the stage, Stephane NFC, Mr. Unchained, Stephane Matala, the French Ramon Dino. This is the latest update from today from his coach, Patrick Tour. And we've seen a lot of impressive updates going into this show from Stephane. And as we've talked about before, he did win a show. He was qualified for the last Olympia. And at the last minute, he had to pull out because of some personal family issues. But this is like his big comeback, and he wants to make a statement. And I think this is going to be the best version of his physique we've ever seen. He certainly looks like he's put on some size. He looks like he's in tremendous shape here. I cannot wait to see the classic physique portion of this show, which honestly sometimes in these smaller shows I'm not as excited for. You know, oftentimes with some of these, especially the international shows, you'll have like 30 or 40 guys in the classic lineup, and almost none of them are names that any of us have heard of, at least here in the U.S. And sometimes, you know, it just becomes so drawn out, it's not as entertaining to watch some of these other shows. But because of Stephane, this is one of those smaller, you know, less known shows that I'm really excited for the classic physique portion. Just because after all these updates that we've seen, I think we're going to see a very, very impressive version of his physique. And then I would say even in a scenario where he doesn't win this show, then how good is the guy that beats it? The guy that beats him's got to look incredible too. So it's going to be entertaining to watch, because I really want to see him qualify for the Olympia again, and I really want to see this physique on the Olympia stage. I really believe that this guy has a next level physique, and I think he's going to come in shape. Now, next up in the news, the latest physique update from Samson Dauda at 14 weeks out from the Olympia, this time in his home mirror. And obviously, you can kind of see the big difference here between the magic mirror at Oxygen Gym and just any old regular mirror. He looks a lot more impressive in the Oxygen Gym mirror, hence why it's called the magic mirror. Perfect lighting, perfect angles, perfect mirror. But nonetheless, Samson looks absolutely massive here. I'm getting really curious because he hasn't really said what his body weight is here. When Milos was coaching him, Milos was constantly giving updates on how much Samson was weighing in the offseason. He would get up to, 336, I think? He would be up over 330 in the offseason. And to me, in these updates, between this one and the Oxygen Gym update, he looks like he might even be bigger than that. To me, he looks bigger than the previous year's posts in the same mirror in the offseason, talking about these crazy weights of 325, 330, 335. He looks wide as a freaking house in these updates. And I think, again, it begs the question, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Because I think that's what most people would agree Oxygen Gym has kind of become known for with their strategies, bringing in these guys as big and full and crazy as possible, like Big Ramy and Rolly Winkler. And that was one of the reasons, actually, that Regan Grimes stopped training over there, is he felt like they were pushing too much for size and just overfeeding him, overdoing the drugs, etc. And kind of in this situation, where much of the bodybuilding community is kind of saying the same thing with Samson, he's got all the tools, great physique, one of the best physiques on any bodybuilding stage. He just needs to really dial in that conditioning. Is size really something he should even be pursuing at this point? Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Now, next up in the news, I saw these recent physique update pictures of Calum von Moger, and a lot of people were actually criticizing Calum. I think it's really impressive that Calum was able to build back his physique, considering all of the setbacks he had, all the injuries, all the mental health issues, really almost dying. But that being said, I do agree with the criticism that he should not compete or try to compete or continue to compete. Calum is an IFBB pro. So at that level, there is no competing for fun. He's competing professionally at the highest level. And I've seen some of the podcasts that he's done recently, and he has expressed a lot of interest in coming back and competing. Now, the reason that I say he shouldn't come back and compete is kind of twofold. I think the biggest part of it is clearly Calum has been suffering from some serious mental health issues. And it would be foolish of us to kind of deny the mental stress of a pro bodybuilding prep, let alone all the drugs that go along with that contribute to that mental stress. And the other part of that, and the reason I say that, is because I don't think it would be worthwhile for him to do that. And I think it is because of all the injuries, all the stuff that his physique has been through. I don't think he could get his physique back to the point where it would be worth all that he would go through in prepping for shows as a pro. I don't think he would win a show at this point. I don't think he would get to the Olympia at this point. And it's not really a knock on him. He's got so many crazy injuries, upper body, lower body. His body will never be the same as that crazy Calum von Moger that we saw when he was like 25. I mean, the injuries that he's suffered have been like some of the worst possible injuries a bodybuilder could have in his arm, in his legs, all over. So while I think it is impressive that he's even able to display this level of physique right now, the fact that he was able to get back to this is impressive. I don't think he should continue to push it beyond this just for the sake of competing, just because of his mental health. I think we've seen what his mental health, what kind of point it can get to. And if you take the stress of the prep alone, the effects of the drugs alone, but then combine that with the possibility of him doing a show and just getting destroyed and placing like last, then the mental health stress of that, and everything combined. So I'm glad to see him seemingly healthy, back to training, rebuilding his physique, but I really don't want to see him continue to compete as a pro just for his sake. But that's going to wrap it up for the video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, click that bell notification icon. And as always, I love you guys, appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power, signing out. All right, guys, don't forget to click that like button and subscribe to this channel if you enjoy the content. Also, check out my Instagram at NICKS&P, my Facebook page, which is simply Nick Strength and Power, my secondary YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Vlogs, for vlogs and bonus content that you will not see on this channel, and consider subscribing to my third YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Pokemon, which is all things Pokemon and trading card games, completely unrelated to this channel. So if you're into that, give that one a look. And all links to merchandise and social media will be in the description box below. If you guys want a Nick Strength and Power t-shirt, that will be in the Shopify link below. Have a great day.